So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining me on, well, it's sunny here. I don't know what it's like where you are, and it's Wednesday today. So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining me on this sunny Wednesday afternoon. Today, we're going to be looking at some documents and tools that we really think can really impress your clients and revolutionize your client's experience. So you might have heard of some of these things before, and you might have heard me banging on about these over the last couple of months as well. But today we're going to look at them in detail and explore how they can really help you guys to impress your clients, either when they're onboarding with you or throughout their financial planning process. So it'll be about 25 minutes, something like that, hopefully. And then we'll leave some time at the end for if you do have any questions. The chat is open, so please feel free to drop a hello to everybody else, or you can also ask questions using the Q&A thing. And this also will be recorded today as well, so don't feel like you need to take too many notes. We'll send out the slides and also the recording afterwards for you to divulge at your own leisure. So let me share my screen. And if anybody can't see this, please just let me know in the chat or in the Q&A, but it looks like everybody's okay. So hopefully you can see a big screen that says hello. Again, if you can't see that, please just let me know in the chat. So like I said, what today we're going to do, we're going to look at 5 different documents and tools to help you improve your client experience. So let's just crack into them because we've got limited time. So number 1 is something that I would imagine if anybody is connected with me on LinkedIn or Twitter or anything like that, you've probably seen these. They're really, really powerful tools to send at the start of the financial planning process when you're onboarding new clients, but also as a refresh every year to people to remind them of the journey that they're going on when they're working with you as a financial planner. So these are what they look like on the left-hand side. We've got tons of different examples. If anybody does want to see some examples, I can't send them through to you, but I can certainly jump on a call and show you. So please do let me know if you want to see some examples. The idea with these is that at the very start of the financial planning process, this is you setting out your stall to clients to say, this is what we're going to be doing. So the idea is that this is probably the first time that people will be coming to work with you. Maybe the first time that they're coming to work with a financial planner. It might be the first time that they're ever coming to work with a professional services company. So people come in here not having any idea what to expect. They don't understand what the process is going to be. You can put it on your website all you like, but unless people are giving it in front of them, the likelihood is they won't understand what that process looks like that they're going to go through. So the first thing that these documents do, which is a fantastic thing to reduce that cognitive dissonance that people feel, is to set the expectations of what's going to be going on. So you can see on there that we've got things like where the call is going, where the meeting is going to be, whether it's going to be online, in person, or a telephone call, how long it's going to be. So in this case, it's 30 minutes, and what they're going to be doing when they're in those meetings. Now, of course, it's a docVinci document, so it looks nice and fresh and modern and branded, most importantly. But ultimately, you could have these on Word documents if you wanted to. Just anything to explain to clients what they're going to be going through is a huge, huge help to them. And what it also does is a kind of knock-on effect, is that it does actually build excitement for them. So if they can see what that process is going to look like in front of their eyes, if you can make it nice and visual for them and say what they're going to get at the end of that journey, in essence, financial freedom, financial plan, whatever it is that you're working with them on, that actually builds a lot of excitement in their heads. And it might be subconscious, but thinking, this is what it's going to look like. This is what I'm going to be doing. It looks really cool. It feels really nice. And that is a really, really good thing to get out of your clients, because you want them to feel excited. The likelihood is after they've come out of that first discovery meeting with you, they're already feeling pretty excited because they've been asked questions that they've never been asked before. And it looks like they're going to solve some of the challenges that they're going through. So keep on going with that excitement and send them something like this. It's really useful. The next one this really does is to reduce confusion. And the idea with this is that, so Sue does this really well from FuturePath, which is the one that I've just shown you there. So hi, Sue, if you're watching this, is to warn of radio silencers. So you all probably know what this is like. When you are taking on board clients, you've sent off the letters of authority to providers, whatever it is, and they're taking an age to get back to you. And sometimes it takes a lot for you to remember to email clients and give them an update of what's going on, etc., etc., etc. And the problem is that the clients can't differentiate you from the providers. So you can say to them all you want that the providers are taking ages to get back to us, blah, 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 blah. But ultimately, either subconsciously or consciously, they just see you and the providers as one entity, and it's just taking ages. So what you can do with this is that you can warn them of this at the very start. So to kind of preempt them to say this is going to happen in most likely circumstances, because it often happens with our business. So what you can do is kind of get rid of that feeling of them just thinking, am I even speaking to a financial planner anymore? Because it's in there, you've warned them of it in the journey, and it's just a nice little thing to do for them at the very start. It's a nice little touch, doesn't take too much to do, and you can actually make it quite informal as well, as Sue's done in here, which is nice, in a conversational tone. So that's journey documents done. Number 2 is first meeting. How are we doing for time? All right. First meeting checklists. So again, if anybody's connected with me on LinkedIn or etc., you've probably seen me talk about these things. And they're similar to the journey documents in that they're sent at the very start of the financial planning process. And some of you guys might already send these, which is great. But we've been working on a lot of these with financial planning firms recently. And again, the concept behind them is that the clients will probably never have been to a financial planner before or a professional before. So they have no idea what to expect when they're coming into that first meeting with you, unless you tell them what to expect. So example on the right hand side there. Again, I've got more examples of these to show people. This one is from the guys at Ruby Red Financial Planning. So again, if James and Emma are watching, hi guys. And you can see there, what we break it up into is what you can expect, what you should bring, and what we will be asking you. So the great things about this is that you start off well with clients. You send this before the first meeting and say, listen, this is what we're going to be doing in this first meeting, and this is what we're going to be going through. These are the questions we're going to be asking you, and this is what you need to bring. And what these documents are great at doing is reducing the anxiety that clients feel. So there's no reason for them to now feel anxious about, well, there's plenty of reasons to feel anxious, but there's one less reason for them to feel anxious when coming to see you, because they know exactly what to expect from that first meeting. And you can make these as exciting as you want. You know, ultimately you will be asking some big questions about the future, etc., etc. So tell them that you're going to be asking those. But also the what you should bring section, for those people who like to be organized, I'm thinking engineers, teachers, that kind of stuff. Some of you guys don't work with those types of people, but it really does set out the idea of what they should bring to that meeting, which a lot of clients like to have. Most people will probably bring that big Asda bag of, you know, documents out of the loft anyways, and they'll bring it along and it'll stink of damp, etc. But if you can tell them what else to bring, so identity documents, any big questions, all that kind of stuff. And we put it in a nice little comment there, just basically saying, and most importantly, an open mind. So again, it sets out the stall for what you expect from them to bring as well. And some people do this, some people don't, but it's to include the questions that you'll be asking them. So don't include every question that you're going to be asking them, of course, but include the really big ones. So I don't know about, I mean, this is where you take a step back for a second and think, if I was to be asked some of the George Kinder questions, which are those 3 in there pretty much, would you have an answer for them nowadays? Now, if I think about that, you know, if somebody asked me one of those questions at the bottom there, I'd be terrified, and if somebody asked me right now, I honestly don't think I could give an answer to them, because they're huge questions, and the answer that I would give would be a rushed answer. But instead, if you can tell clients before that first meeting and say, have a little think about these questions before you come along, because we will be asking these, and the answer that you give kind of sets off that whole process. So make sure to have a think about them before they come along. And when you do that, they're not like a rabbit in the headlights when they come into the meeting, because they know that you're going to ask one of these big, huge, terrifying questions, and hopefully they'll be in a better position to answer it. So it actually improves the whole process as well. It makes you look professional. It is great client experience because it's setting out that stall nice and early. And I mean, I'm going to be honest, not that many financial planning businesses are doing this. So it does set you apart from everybody else as well, which is great. Oh. So number 3, again, if you do have any questions about these, I think there's one in the Q&A there. Let me just have a look. Elizabeth. So Elizabeth says, awesome documents. Are they able to be translated to be sent in emails, not as attached PDFs, but just as the email? Yes, they are. I mean, I would imagine that you can just send these as automated emails, which we'll talk a little bit about later on in this presentation as well. But yeah, great question. So number 3 is if this is the first I really paid for thing. Just to let you know, before we start, I am not a paid affiliate of VideoAsk. I'm not paid commission by them or anything like that. They don't know who I am. I just love this tool so much, so I talk about it all the time. It is paid for, but it's very affordable for most financial planning businesses, and the things it can do are next level for your client experience. So I use this pretty much every day on websites and to chase prospects and stuff like that. But it's a really, really cool tool from the guys at Typeform, and the idea with it is that it gets your face in front of clients and prospects, which is something that nowadays, let's be honest, we don't really have an excuse not to be using video anymore. If you can think about the difference now of the videos that your phone can record versus, let's just say 10 years ago, it's completely different. This has changed the game. So now we can use these kind of tools to get in front of our clients in a different way. So when I originally was thinking about how financial planners can use VideoAsk, I started going down loads of crazy different ideas, but probably one of the best ones that I can really think of is to use these as interactive documents. So people might have seen last year, I built basically a video suitability report for our annual suitability report as an example. So what this is effectively that you could embed this to an email if you want to, or you can send it as a link so it opens up in a browser, or you can put it on your website. Or, I mean, you wouldn't put a suitability report on your website, but you can put these on your website. And what they do is it's like a story. So it has a little video there that plays on the left-hand side. In this one, it's just me saying, hello, clients, this is your annual suitability report or annual review summary, whatever it might be. Down the sections on the right-hand side there, you can see the different areas of your report. And all of those different sections are different videos. So you can see that A is your objectives. And then it goes into a video of me explaining the objectives that the client wanted to achieve. Number B is what we're recommending, C, suitable, etc., etc., etc. So we're not at a point, I don't think, and I've looked into this a little bit, where the FCA considers this a durable medium for you to send this to your clients just yet. If anybody knows the answer to that, please do let me know in the Q&A. But even if they're not, these are lovely little, like a kind of additional things to send alongside hard copies of your documents. If we can think about the way that annual suitability reports look nowadays, even if it's just 1 page or 2 page or whatever it might be, they're not exactly personal, they're not exactly interactive or anything like that. So with these kind of things, it takes a little bit extra time, but the amount of time that you can save by recording a video rather than writing it up into a paragraph or sending an email or whatever it might be, this is, again, next level client experience. So you can use this for your reports. You can use this for your financial plans. You can use it for your brochures. You can use it for pretty much any document that you've got. You can effectively translate those into videos if you were really forward thinking and you could do this kind of stuff. Now, of course, you do have to be confident in front of the camera, which I've been doing this for long enough now to be confident in front of the camera. I know that takes a little bit of extra work, but if you can overcome that hurdle, the amount of things that you can do with VideoAsk is really, really, like, it's pretty much unending. So you can use this to do all sorts of different things in your process. The main thing that I use it for, and some people who are watching might have had this from me, is to chase prospects. So after a week after I send the proposal to clients of docVinci, if they haven't got back to me, or even if they have got back to me, I just send them a lovely little 30-second video just saying, it was great to catch up last week about your documents or your marketing or whatever it might be. Just checking in just to see how things are. And if you've got any questions, there's video, audio, and text tool to your right-hand side where you can reply to me. And what this does is, again, it gets your face in front of clients, which is something that you always want. It makes it seem more personal, more professional, makes you seem more confident as well. But it also it's less of a chew on for clients than just having an email into their inbox which says, "Hiya, blank, I'm just checking in just to see how things are. If you've got any questions, blah blah blah." That is nowadays pretty boring, given that you can do these kind of things. So you can build the VideoAsk, you can embed it into an email as all sorts of different things, and it just looks and feels so much better for your clients. So I would imagine you're probably thinking now loads of ideas that you can use this kind of thing. That is definitely probably one of the best ones. And then, so this one is, again, something I've just thought of in the last couple of months, actually, is to send these instead of newsletters. So, I mean, I used to build newsletters when I used to work at a financial planning business, and they used to take me like 3 hours to make, find all the content, etc., all that kind of stuff. And then they used to be read by maybe 35% of the target audience, which is actually pretty good, to be honest. Most people would kill for that kind of readership, but I know that most of the people in the audience, most of you guys, will be used to much lower than that. And to be honest, that's the industry average is about 10-15%, something like that. So it's not great, and that's because ultimately they're too long, they're a bit boring, and they don't really utilize the power of video. So if you can use VideoAsk, you can embed them into MailChimp if you want to. Ultimately, though, you could just send them from your own email address, not using any kind of merchant like MailChimp or ConvertKit or whatever. And you can put these into an email, 3-minute videos, whatever it might be. Again, you can build stories if you wanted to, so you can make different sections, etc. But this is much more engaging for your clients and prospects. I think you would definitely agree than just sending them an email every month saying, here's what we've been up to at X financial planning. This is much more interesting, much more engaging, and it's actually easier for you as well. If you could think about recording a 3-minute video versus spending 3 or 4 hours building a newsletter that's boring as hell for you to build, or paying for somebody to build these for you, the readership rates, first of all, will go up because there's videos in there, it's engaging, it's interactive, and it's nice for the clients to receive, but also it frees up a lot of your time as well. So just something that we've been thinking about recently. I would much rather people sent these than, massively long 1,000-word newsletters or whatever it is. Number 4 is Typeform. Again, I've got no affiliation with Typeform. I'm not paid by them. I don't commission or anything like that. They don't know who I am. I just love this tool, and we're helping people build these at the moment. So you might have heard of Typeform before. It's a pretty popular tool, but I don't really think that we've used it in financial planning to its full extent just yet. So it's effectively just a form building tool. It's just like SurveyMonkey or those kind of things, but it does allow you to do a lot more things than those do. So you can see on the right-hand side there, the idea is that you put loads of questions into a form and you can turn these into all sorts of different things in your process. So the one that we've been really helping people build with Typeform recently is things like fact finds or questionnaires. So a lot of people who I speak with send fact finds. If you don't use Cash Calc or something like that, for instance, a lot of people use either PDFs or Excel spreadsheets and stuff like that to gather information from clients. Now, if that works, that's absolutely great. That's absolutely fine. And it's great and all that kind of stuff. But what I'm thinking of is the client experience on the other end of that. So if I was, and I'm probably not your target audience, if you're watching this, I might be, but I'm probably not. If I was sent a spreadsheet to fill in with loads of hard information like national insurance number, policy information, all that kind of stuff, I would see that as a massive chew on, and that's going to be a huge barrier preventing me from working with you, because firstly, I won't want to do it. So it'll take me ages to do it, but also I'll be sat there thinking, is there not a better way to do this? And there is. You can use Typeform to build fact finds where you can set them up so they're nice and interactive, they're nice and branded, they look beautiful, and they take clients through a process which goes into different routes depending on their answers. So it's a bit like an AI generated tool where it goes on different directions based on their answers. It is personalized, so it puts their name in there and all that kind of stuff, which is great. But you can use it also for questionnaires. So if you don't want to use one of the big ATRQ systems that's out there, you can build your own and ask the questions that you actually want to ask your clients to get their either attitude to risk, capacity for loss, all that kind of stuff in there. And if we're thinking about consumer duty, again, this is a big tick from them, because if you can evidence that you've asked the right questions and it fits with your process, that's a really, really useful way to evidence that consumer duty. Number 2 is something that we'll talk about a little bit further on, but it's the great thing about Typeform is that it links with other pieces of software. So it links to pretty much anything that you use, mostly. We're in a bit of a silo in financial planning in that a lot of our technology doesn't link to anything else, but it does link to a lot more things that you will use than you can imagine. So we'll talk about that in a little bit in a second. And the third thing is that improving customer experience and ease. So if you can actually make fact finds and that kind of stuff enjoyable, which I know is a really weird sentence to say, then ultimately that customer experience just goes up straight, or client experience just goes up straight to him. But also this is really easy, not only for your clients, but for you to build as well. You can build these things in a couple of hours and it completely changes your client experience process. So when I spoke before about it going into different routes, that is called branching. And you might have seen branching before, but effectively what it is let's just say, for example, if I put into that the fact find that I don't have a partner or spouse, it'll take me down one route. But if I say I do have a partner or spouse, it'll take me down a different route, which will then ask questions based on, the two of us, or as a couple, what our finances look like, all that kind of stuff. Whereas the other way is individual. And then each individual question can have different routes depending on which way it go down. So you can think that you could have a really super duper comprehensive, personal, interactive fact find that is, completely built by your firm. So you can ask the questions that you want to ask. There's no kind of preloaded questions or anything like that. And it completely changes the customer experience process again. So branching is a really cool tool, and there's loads of different ways that you can use it. And then the other thing that I've spoken about here is that I love the way it can automate with different things and link with other different things. So you might have heard of a tool called Zapier. And if anybody's looking at that and thinking, how on earth do I say that? Is it Zapier or Zapier or whatever? It is actually Zapier, because I think their tagline a few years ago was something like, live happier with Zapier or something like that. So it is Zapier. And what that is effectively it's an intermediary between different pieces of software. Now, that is a really confusing sentence, what I've just said there. So I'll explain what I mean. So if you've got Outlook over here, or Gmail, or whatever it is, an email client, and if you've got something like, let's just say Calendly or something like that over here, linking those two, if there's no automatic thing to link them, is a bit difficult. So Zapier is in the middle. And what it does, it takes both the APIs from Calendly and from Outlook, and it is effectively talking those two bit of systems together. So as an example, if you trigger what's called a zap from Outlook, which is, I don't know, sending an email or whatever it is, it'll then send the information through to Zapier. Zapier will send the information through to Calendly, and that will trigger something else. And it basically just talks together the whole time. So the idea is that you can automate a lot of the things that you're currently doing manually. You can automate a ton of those things using Zapier and using different tools out there. So as an example, let's just say, for instance, an email gets sent from you, a templated email that you just change for each individual client when they come on board with you. Dead simple to do with the instructions of what they have to do. The next thing is they complete the interactive fact find on Typeform, which is what we were talking about before. And then once that gets done, it then links with Zapier and tells Calendly that they've done their interactive fact find. So what that does is it sends them an email from Calendly saying you've now completed your interactive fact find, and it can be personal as well. And also that says book in a next time for a next meeting using Calendly down below. Once that gets done, it then triggers another zap which says that has been booked in. So in between that now and that next meeting, they need to do their risk questionnaire, which then sends another thing to Typeform saying you need to do this, and it sends an email, etc., etc. And then the final thing is that this can all link to one of the amazing CRMs that's out there. So there's tons and tons and tons of CRMs that exist nowadays, not just in financial planning, but elsewhere as well. So HubSpot is a really, really good one. And what that means is that you can take all of this information that your client's putting in, from the fact find to the risk questionnaire, their name, their email address, all the communications, and put them into a CRM automatically. So you don't have to download, rekey, anything like that. It is all done automatically by computers, which is what ultimately we should be doing nowadays. We should let the computers do what they're good at. So that's just an example. I'm sure you've got tons of ideas in your heads about how you could use this to automate different things. And number 5, so finally, is, I think you probably expected this one, but it's short financial plans. So I don't think I need to preach too much about how amazing these documents are, but if you're not quite sold just yet, here's some different ways that I see people using them. So the idea with these is that they're not any designated length. They don't have to be 1 page or 2 page or whatever it is. It is just a shorter version or an actual deliverable that you can give to your clients to say, listen, here's what's going on. Here's why we're doing this. Here's the value that we're providing to you. Because I think, again, I've said this a few times, but suitability reports, people don't see those as deliverable financial plans. So this one here, for instance, is 2 pages. It's from the guys at Clarity Wealth Management. Again, if you're watching, hello team. So the idea is that you make advice very clear. So you say, this is what we're doing, this is why we're doing it, and here's what it looks like. So in this example, we do include a bit of cash flow in there and just a nice summary of the recommendations with some traffic lights. But there's tons and tons of different ways that you can build these. If you've got any ideas, you can just throw them onto a Word document and just play around with loads of different ways. Canva's super duper accessible nowadays, so you can go on there and build these for yourself. But also showing your value. So showing this is why we're here. This is why we're doing what we're doing. From a consumer duty angle, again, that's really, really good. And I think the most important thing is that it increases readability. So if you're sending currently 50-page, 60-page, whatever it is, financial plans, then ultimately sending something like this is much more readable for clients. So they'll actually appreciate what you're doing and they'll understand it a lot more, which again, for consumer duty is huge, as we can all imagine. Something that the guys at Inco are doing really well is that they're using Loom videos in these documents. So if you can turn these into PDFs, you can hyperlink certain areas, or you can actually embed Loom videos into PDFs nowadays as well. But in this example here, they've done a snapshot, short financial plan with a little button in the top right-hand corner, which just says, watch a quick video summary. And it's one of the financial planners just going through the cash flow and going through their situation. So it's an actual person explaining through what they're going through, which is a really, really useful tool. And Loom is something else that I could have talked about today as well. Something the guys at TFP do really well is that they use trackers. So Canva nowadays has some amazing things on there that you can use, but you can also use different things to create these as well. TFP actually use a happiness tracker, which is nice. So they track their clients' happiness every year, which is really, really cool. But there's tons of different trackers you can use, like objective trackers and all those different things as well. So those are really powerful to use in financial plans. I'm sure people have heard of COW, which is client's own words. So this one here from the guys at Intelligent Capital, and I think Sue from Future Path also uses this as well. It is your 3 a.m. moment. So she captures that information in the first discovery meeting with clients, and then she gives it back to them in their own words. So your 3 a.m. moment, the thing that makes you wake up every night worrying about this thing, is this. And what that does is it puts the financial plan into context of why you're doing certain things. So 3 a.m. moment could be, I have no idea how I'm going to retire in 2 years' time. All of my friends are retired. I don't know how I'm going to retire. They put that in there, and then they see why they're doing a certain financial plan or certain things in there. Really, really, really powerful thing to do. So that's all from the content side. If you want to head off now, that's absolutely fine. But I'm just going to talk through a little few things that we do here at docVinci. I'm also going to take a look at the Q&A at some point as well. So yeah, there's tons of questions in there. I'll get to them in a second. So the first thing that we do is branding and rebranding. So we help financial planning businesses launch, but also rebrand with cool, fresh, new brands that can go forward with. Modern websites. So we do actually build websites for people as well. So we're building a lot of those at the moment. The hero product marketing side. So we're helping people build a lot of marketing plans, content strategies, social media plans at the moment. Really, really exciting stuff. Bringing people into the 21st century and using marketing to grow their businesses. And also the hero product document side as well. So all the things we talked about, the financial plans, the first meeting checklists, the journey explainers, terms of business, client agreements, all those kind of things we're working on at the moment. So I'm just going to screen through all of these. If you do want to book a call with me, you can, I'm a millennial, of course, so you can scan that QR code. Hopefully, I think it works. Yeah, it does. I've just tried it on my phone. That'll take you through to my Calendly. You can book a call in with me there just for a quick 20-minute catch-up where we can go through some of the documents that we've looked at in this meeting, but also learn about other things that we do at docVinci as well. But huge thank you to everyone for coming along, for listening to me talk for half an hour. I hope you found it useful. We'll look at the Q&A now to see what's going on in here. So Michelle says, can you share your example of the suitability report video? Yes, I can, Michelle, if I can find it. So I'll try and grab that out for you at some point. If you could just message me separately to this, I'll try and get that over to you. Ellie says, just wondering how this VideoAsk differs from Loom or other providers. That's a good question, a really good question, actually. The thing that VideoAsk does is that it effectively allows you to build stories. So Loom is great because it puts your little video into the left-hand corner. So it's great as a screen capture. VideoAsk is a little bit different, is that I don't see it as a screen capture. I see it as a person capture. So it captures your face and it gives people choices of how to use different, of where to go in the journey, for example. A really good example is, I would imagine that some of you guys know Gretchen Betts from Magenta Financial Planning. If you go to Magenta FP, I think it might be .com or .co.uk. Just search Magenta Financial Planning into Google. If you scroll down on her first page, they've got a really, really good example of a VideoAsk adventure story on there. And you can see how that would differ to something like Loom. So Loom is great for explaining. VideoAsk is great for breaking things up into journeys and stories and all those other things as well. So hopefully that helps, Ellie. Michelle says, is there a maximum time limit on these videos? That's a good question. I've never come across a time limit, just because the things I record are usually less than at least 3 minutes or something like that. I don't think there's a time limit, but there might be. So it might be worth going on to VideoAsk and just checking that out. But I can't imagine that there will be. Ian says, does anyone have any copies of their financial plan which they can share? So if you go in the next gen community, if you're in the next gen community, which I know you are, Ian, we did a financial plan workshop a couple of months ago where you can see some examples from all around the world. But if you want to put that into the community and ask for people for examples, then by all means do so, Ian. That's fine. Natasha says, what email should we use for you if you want to pass your details on? Yeah, great question. So it's ciao@docvinci.co.uk, and ciao is CIAO at docvinci.co.uk. Or you can just link people to dan.graham@nextgenplanners.co.uk. But what I'll do is I'll send through a recording tomorrow of this. I'll send through all the slides and everything like that. And if you want to forward them on to anyone, then by all means do so. So that is all the questions, unless we've got any more. I think we're all good. So once again, thank you so much to everyone for attending this afternoon. I hope it's been really, really useful for you. I'll send through the recording and the slides at some point this week. But yeah, go and enjoy the rest of your sunny Wednesday afternoon, and I'm sure we'll see you all very soon. Bye-bye, everyone.